GM everyone, this is Brave Money. Like I said, I do these videos every once in a blue moon. Last one we did was an interview with Murad in the dumbmoney.com .tv Discord. Anyways, really short video. I'm going to cover the markets. So we're going to look at TradFi, then we're going to look at Bitcoin and some cool charts I want to highlight. So real quick, this is the SPX, the TradFi SPX. The 200-day moving average SMA over here is a blue line, and there's this little breakdown. It's at 51.58 at the moment. So a lot high volatility in traditional markets. I heard that Dow had a really terrible day as well, but I really wanted to highlight this. So this is the weekly SPX, and again, guys, it's like people are freaking out. But like, if you didn't know what this asset was, and you saw this chart, you didn't know the time frame, you didn't know any other details, not even the price. You just see this chart, right? Like obviously, like this looks like a top, and people who have been investing all this way, are de-risking up here. So, and there's a lot of like, oh, Trump has destroyed the economy, all this. I mean, just from a purely technical standpoint, this is a healthy correction. I mean, you could even go all the way down. Actually, it did. Yeah, it went all the way down to this right here, and it did bounce up to that. And you need healthy corrections like this in the market. You can't just go straight up for years on end. And not take a rest, right? Like this period right here was a big rest period, and we kind of like had this kind of blow off top on the SPX, and this is like a lot. There's a lot of volatility here because of tariffs and macro and a changing world order and all this kind of stuff, right? So I'm just showing you this chart, just saying don't freak out. Things will eventually continue up only because not just the U.S. government, but governments all over have to print money to finance their debt. And when they print more money, that goes into the economy through businesses and loans and whatnot, and then that just filters it on down and ends up in risk assets. Because that's where smart money or smart dumb money, puts their money. You don't put your money in cash. Anyways, so this will continue going on, and the direction is just up only. And again, so this was the COVID. Real quick, COVID. We had the COVID drop, and then we had massive money printing, right? So if we didn't have the COVID drop, like look where this thing was just heading, right? I mean, this was the path we're on ever since 2008, the housing crisis back here, when all those banks were bailed out back then. Now, obviously, we probably shouldn't have bailed those banks. Those banks should have been allowed to fail, but that didn't happen. So we've been on this course, and the money printing from COVID allowed the markets to get a little bit more crazy. But this is actually healthy if we get back to this line right here. This is actually going back, almost 20 years since this happened. So that's micro and TradFi markets. Okay, going to Twitter and crypto. I want to highlight this guy. So this guy is Colin Talks Crypto, and I've been loving his charts lately. So he's got a YouTube channel, but check this out. So, and he's got a formula which he posts on his YouTube, and I got that formula and I put it into a chart, and I'll show that in a bit. But basically, he's tracking Bitcoin price and global M2 because Bitcoin is a global asset, so you can't just take US M2. You need to look at M2 worldwide. So this is really cool. So he's got two offs, and you have to offset it because global M2 always leads Bitcoin, just like gold leads Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still considered a risk asset. That's why money and liquidity ends up in Bitcoin later, and then meme coins and altcoins after that. The tail end of risk. So an M2 money supply, right? That is total money in the system, right? So he's got a 78-day offset and a 108-day offset. I think he started with the 108-day and he's revised it since to the 78-day because that kind of matches up a lot better. But this is super bullish, guys. Like, this is super bullish, and this has happened all throughout like the Bitcoin 4-year cycle as well. So he may have not even. There was somebody who had this quote on Twitter. It may have never been the halving the entire time. It was just the halving lined up perfectly with U.S. elections and money M2 global printing. So yeah, this is just showing where we're at right now, and the price of Bitcoin's at 80. Well, on this chart at the moment, it's 85K. Now we've hit 88K today, 87K. And this is what matters, right? Like, this is uptrend. This is like going into July of this year, and it's just showing the amount of money that is in the system now. So why does it end up in Bitcoin and other risk assets, right? And the stock market in general. So in the fiat system, to create more money or to borrow more money, like all money is created from debt. So you're a corporation, you're an individual, a business. You go to a bank to borrow money in order to grow your business, to invest in your business, to hire more employees, to buy more product, to build out more manufacturing, to build out services. Like, you need that money to invest to grow those businesses, right, and expand. So when you take out loans, that money is generated. That's how new fiat is created. So then, it takes a few months. You put your orders in. That money hits other businesses, other individuals, and so on down the supply chain, right, or services or whatever it is, right. And finally, at the end of the day, it's like you've had more money enter the system, and now more businesses are richer at the tail end of that. And then those individuals and businesses and companies, they take access capital. You don't just hold cash. Some will hold cash, but you have to reinvest that because there's more money in the system, so every dollar has less value. So you want to invest that in assets that are somewhat scarce, right? Stocks, there's a limited supply, but you can always create more stocks, more shares from a company, and then that hits the safer assets. And then it hits risk assets. So that's tech stocks, AI, that's crypto, that's Bitcoin. Obviously, us in crypto, we don't think of Bitcoin as being risky at all. But in traditional legacy financial markets, it is still considered a risk asset. So we'll hit Bitcoin first, and then we have our little mini cycle that happens in crypto, right? So it hits Bitcoin first, and then after a few months of gain of that or weeks, that transitions into the tier 2 coins, tier 3 coins. Then the super tail end risk of everything is meme coins. So this is super awesome right here. So so this chart here, there's a line that's showing that this little box kind of ends in May here in the 108 day offset. But again, this is about a month worth of time, or a month and a half, I believe. But this is an important market. This move here is what we're looking for. This is basically the same move as we had here from October to January of this year. This other move, right, in Bitcoin, and this was like a $50,000 move in the price of Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin went from 40K to 100K during this time period. So we're about to see a similar move happening here. So according to this, just according to this M2, and Colin's done all the backtracking. So the Bitcoin price obviously is not gonna match exactly, but it's directional, right? It's directional. It's about 80% correlation, 20% off, right? Because people also buy other things, right? Stocks, Tesla, and other cryptos and other risk assets. And then the Bitcoin people start trading in and out of other assets as well, right? As money continues to rise. But this is looking amazing. So this looking like we could have a potential, a price of Bitcoin above 150,000 sometime in July or August, right? Anyway, so give this guy a follow. He is Colin T Crypto on Twitter. Another chart I want to show, Tech Dev, by the way. I am loving Tech Dev, all of Tech Dev's charts. This is another thing. So this is a business cycle and liquidity chart. Again, it leads Bitcoin. So the bottom chart is liquidity. The top chart is Bitcoin. And again, like we've got this like little uptick right here in liquidity. And he's even got the business cycle like MACD over here, which is like basically at like the precipice, right? Or actually, this MACD, this might be Bitcoin, I think. I don't know. He doesn't actually share his. Oh, you know what? We should just find him on TradingView. So, TradingView.com. So he is TechDev_52. Is he 52 years old? I wonder what that 52 means. All right. Let me try this. Here we go. They're all private. Okay, so all these charts are private. Anyways, I had to come up here. Oh yeah, real quick. What I wanted to show at the end was I took his script. And where's it? Yeah, this is the SPX 6900. This is like a Kraken. There we go. Now I need to add offset, right? So 108. Let's do 108 first. Oh, did that? Yeah, there we go. So 108. I think I did this at 108 myself at first, and this is roughly showing that this kind of bottoming zone is kind of lining up with this bottoming zone in SPX. But I think I also adjusted this because there's this double hump right here, right? As we can see, global liquidity, which kind of like lines up here slightly on SPX. Now, obviously, guys, this is like we're talking about global M2. We're talking about tens of trillions of dollars, and we're talking about an asset that is 400 something million, which I think is still going to 50 billion. So obviously there's going to be not as highly correlated as it was to even Bitcoin. Let's go 78 days. So 78 days, that doesn't line up correctly. Let's do 96. I think 96 was actually what I did. So yeah, 96, because I wanted to get this second hump lined up with that one. But anyways, so basically, and again, really, we're not waiting for M2 to move so SPX moves. We're waiting for M2 to move so Bitcoin moves. Now, Bitcoin is like, you can think of Bitcoin in crypto as TradFi, SPX, the Dow Jones, or, crypto M2. So as Bitcoin gets rich, then that transitions into the other alts as people chase more better gains. So with that, guys, thanks for listening, and I'll try to do more shorter videos from time to time. All right, be brave.